Superman is the launch of the new DC universe under James Gunn's direction. This movie is optimistic, vibrant, corny, and overstuffed with characters. It's the most recent sign in the shift in the audience's desire for a return to classic Hollywood films that are simple, hopeful, and just a great time in the theater. In my head, I group this with F1, Mission Impossible, Top Gun Maverick, and Barbie and the likes of that. It's a spectacle with extremely digestible plots and characters, a solid soundtrack, and something you can rewatch fairly easily. While saying that, I do also have to acknowledge the very on the nose political backdrop that Superman is set to. We have an insane billionaire igniting a conflict in the Middle East for monetary gain while creating temporary issues on Superman's home turf in hopes to distract him and us from the brewing war. That's all I'll say about that to avoid any real spoilers for the movie, and so the sniper outside of my window doesn't take the shot. David Corenswet absolutely steals the show with an incredible breakout lead performance. He wonderfully embodies the Boy Scout and homegrown hero while killing his action scenes as Superman. The core emotional conflict for his character arises out of a really interesting place, I think, and this is where I actually wanted a little bit more out of the script in this movie. Slight plot spoilers ahead. But James Gunn's Superman tackles the idea that at the end of the day, our parents don't decide who we are or what we do. It is up to us to discover what makes us good and what makes us who we are. My favorite scene in the movie was Clark's conversation with his dad, Jonathan, on the porch on their farm. In this tender moment, Clark confides in his pa and reveals to him that his parents actually sent him to Earth to rule over the planet and to take a harem of wives. Jonathan's response, the dad, Jonathan, his response is good, but this is where I feel like the movie fell flat a little bit and could have dug a lot deeper into like the emotion of Superman. Jonathan tells Clark that your actions define who you are in an attempt to soothe Clark's worries about his identity and purpose. Superman or Clark is having a serious identity crisis and is having to find his own purpose and find I think in my opinion find his soul. And I was a little bit bothered by this elementary response that solved Superman's identity crisis of his father just tells him it's our actions that define who we are, not just what your parents say, which is true, but it felt just pretty on the nose, pretty surface level philosophy of, oh yeah, Superman. It felt a little weird that Superman, he was 30 years old and he just hadn't thought about the idea that it's actually my actions who make me who I am. So I felt like that moment could have been a lot more powerful. It was still a really good moment and I loved the message it was giving, but I think it could have just been a lot more interesting and a lot more philosophically something to chew on. But still a great moment. It was just a little bit flat for me. This was a chance for the script to explore what it really means to be good, where goodness comes from within us, and how it's our duty to become more than our parents planned for us. I did find myself wishing that this movie shaved down the number of characters and gave us more time to explore Lex Luthor's background and motivations and Lois and Clark's relationship. We really only got a couple scenes with Lois and Clark because they had to find time to fit in other side characters and set up other plots, which I guess is reasonable because this movie did have the weight of the task of being the first project in a new franchise, and it had to include other things, other threads that future movies could solve. And I think that's kind of just the issue of cinematic universes, is that a lot of the times it makes for an interesting span of movies, but the individual movies can suffer a lot from being incomplete and unfocused. My least favorite part of the movie for sure was the engineer character. I thought her powers were grating to the eyes and the ears. Uninteresting nanotech CGI and the buzzsaw sounds over and over against metal had me in my seat covering my ears. I was not a fan of the engineer, but that's like a nitpick. I did find myself thinking that the humor was done really well, which I was curious to see how that was going to go. James Gunn's humor is pretty hit or miss for me, and I think a lot of people. But I think this movie generally did a pretty good job at being funny at the right times, and especially if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the monkey joke. I'm still laughing about it today. I saw it last night, and I still find myself laughing about this monkey joke and the metaphor for online bots inciting chaos and anger. Oh, another thing that I really appreciated about the movie was the way it used animals to show Superman's kindness towards the weak and the vulnerable. Whether it was his dog, a squirrel on the street, an alien baby, or a nation in distress, Superman was there to help the little guys, and I think they just nailed that aspect of his character. And it felt really good to see that. It was a refreshing take on the character after, the last 10 years of Superman being a broody, serious, like emo boy. It was fun to see Superman just being like the helpful guy on the block in this vibrant, colorful sort of explosion of a movie. So overall, I thought Superman is a promising spark for the DC universe, and I'll be curious to see where it goes from here with a lot of highs and lows. And overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Let me know what you thought about it, if you liked it, if you didn't like it. Oh yeah, and I had to say, shout out to Dolby. I saw it in Dolby, and it was super sick. A lot of the sound design came through the seats and the speakers and the bass, and I really felt this movie. There was some big moments that deserved some good sound, and Dolby did deliver on that. This is not sponsored. I just shout out to Dolby.